We must believe that we've been created for love, that we're not alone, that we have inherited a great gift, and that we are called to steward it for future generations. And finally, we must act as if we believe it. We must proclaim our belief by acting on it and by making new things possible in the world around us. And so part of the process for personal transformation is to reflect on these and how these points connect to your own life. And one of the ways that I've done that in terms of reckoning, it's connected both to reckoning with my past and knowing who I am, is thinking about where I come from and who my family is, and how that is connected to the world around me. And I grew up on a farm in west central Minnesota that has been in my family since it was homesteaded. So I grew up in the same house where my dad grew up and my grandpa grew up and my great-grandpa grew up, and I think 2 generations back from that. And I feel an enormous connection to that place and to the history and what my family has built in that place over the generations. But as I think about a broader connection to the world around me, I think, my family came here as immigrants. They started with little to nothing, but they were given an incredible gift in that land through the Homestead Act, when just showing up meant you could have it, you owned it, and there's tremendous wealth in that, and that has been passed on through the generations. But when I think about where that land came from and the history in our country of broken treaties with Native American peoples, of genocide that was associated with that, of disease that was introduced, it makes me realize that there's a lot more to that land than just what it has given to me and my family. It has come at an enormous price for another people. And it's really, really a hard thing to accept. And to recognize how I have benefited from the utter desolation of an entire population of people. And that's a hard thing. But it also that recognition has also called me into this journey of knowing that we need to be about something new in the world, and about addressing issues of reconciliation and repairing relationship that has been so broken for so many generations. We simply have to figure it out. We just have to. And doing this personal transfer, this personal reflection and connecting to my own identity and my own past is part of what has compelled me and called me into this work. So we want to invite you to also do some reflecting, and it's going to be hard in the moment because it takes some time to sift through some of this stuff. But we invite you to reflect on some of these questions and to think about where they strike you and what God is calling you to in your own heart. So reflect with each other on these questions. What transformation is God calling you to make personally? What are some of the old assumptions maybe that you're being asked to let go or to at least question? What are some of the choices maybe even that you've made in how you live your life that as you think about what your faith calls you to, maybe you would have made a different choice. Think about some of those things and think about what gets in the way of you responding to that call. I know for me, one of the hard things about wrestling with these questions is actually daring to have a conversation about this with members of my family, to say that what we have gained is at a cost, and is there something we can do as a family to try and address that? And that's a really hard conversation to have, because I don't know that they're all on the same page I am, or that they've wrestled in the same ways, or even thought about the question in the same way that I have. And it's really risky to have those kinds of conversations with the people that you're closest to. So that gets in my way. So what are the things that get in the way of you responding to the call to be transformed? And think about the stories in Scripture as well as a source of inspiration. How did the people in the story of the Exodus, and how do people find the strength to imagine a whole new thing, to find a way out of the desert, to not be so incapacitated by the enormity of the challenges that we see around us? How do we find the hope? How do we find the strength and the courage to believe that a new thing is possible?